Here we go. Perfect. We are officially recording. Welcome everyone to Release and Restore. So our focus tonight is hamstrings, quads, inner outer thighs, so our upper legs, and we'll probably get into our glutes a little bit with that as well. So let's start with our hamstrings and then glutes. Just reminders, I know some of you come all the time. So with hamstrings, it's best if we can sit on a raised surface. So I'll set up on my little bench in a minute. If you can't, it's okay to roll here, but try to at least not try to really hyperextend the leg. Try to keep a little softness in the knee because we don't want to overstretch through the hamstring when we're rolling it. The other option is to use a stick roller, right? That works as well. So you could use a stick roller. You can use 2 balls. You can use 1. I tend to use 1. And then again, just that reminder that when we do roll our hamstrings, it is best if we can come up onto a surface. That way our hamstring is more in a little bit more relaxed rather than hyperextended, overstretched position. We'll spend about 5 minutes or so, maybe 4 minutes on each hamstring. Welcome, Christina. Welcome, Mary. Welcome, Alexandra. So I do like 1 ball because I can go all different directions, and I really love to cross fiber the hamstring. So go side to side. And then remember, as you're coming in, I did say this, but some of you have just come in. It is okay to come on the floor. Like you're not going to really hurt yourself. Just try to not, really squeeze the quad and really hyperextend through the knee. Try to keep a little bit of softness in there. And that's going to be a little safer on your hamstring. Because we don't, it's real easy to kind of pull a hamstring if we're over forcing that. So we want to be a little bit gentle. And then stick rollers work really great on the hamstring as well. Same with the foam roller. If you're using the foam roller, try to be a little bit soft in the knee. Even if you just had maybe, I don't think that's going to work. If I brought the ball onto a yoga block, right? So if I didn't have a chair, I could place the ball on the yoga block. See how that allows me to have a little softer bend in my knee. So if you do have a yoga block, or you can set up in a chair, that is the best way to do it. Welcome, Krista. Welcome, Alex. Welcome, Heather. So good to see you all. I spent the day driving. Only those of you that live in Texas. I mean, everything in Texas is really far. So my daughter had a cheer competition in Dallas today. It's about a 3.5-hour drive there, 3.5-hour drive home. If you ever watch cheer competitions, they compete for a total of 2.5 minutes. A lot of driving to watch 2.5 minutes of cheer. So I definitely need this. Lots of sitting in the car. You've been hearing me talk about football. We did not win yesterday, so sad. Thumbs down. We are out. There are 2 teams left now, North Shore, who beat us, and then I think they play Duncanville, which is up in the Dallas area. So 3 years now, we've made it to kind of this semifinal round, and 3 years North Shore has beat us. And so it's going to be our year here pretty soon. At some point, they have, and how much you watch football, but their quarterback is a freshman on their varsity team, and he is amazing. So they're going to be like tough to beat for the next 3 more years. Which my son's a freshman, so we're going to have this for 3 more years. It was still fun. We had a great time at the game and good cheer competition. We did get second at cheer, so but a long weekend. So I am right there with you. Super excited to get some rolling in. So as you're rolling hamstring, remember you can go with the muscle fiber. I love to cross fiber. Now you can also do like we do when we get our calf massage. So if you really like that, you can take that smash here because you are getting your calf and you are getting your hamstring too. I always feel it more in my calf in this position. So I incorporate it on the day we do calves, but you do get into your hamstring from that position as well. So if you're like, oh, my calves and my hamstring are tight, give that method a try. Welcome. And so we'll go ahead and kind of switch to the other hamstring. If you're just coming in, remember you can pace yourself. any way that works for you. You don't have to move at the same pace. You might not even be rolling your hamstrings tonight. You might have gone straight to your glutes, which is where we'll move next. Perfect. Someone just came in. Welcome, Connie. You can always apply a little bit more of a smash, right? So if you're in, it's the other advantage of being in a seated position. I can smash in a little better. If I'm seated out, leg long, it's harder for me to take the smash. And those of you just coming in, stick rollers work great. And I've been saying hamstrings, if you come all the time, you hear me say this every time we do hamstrings. Here is okay, but do try to keep a little softness in the knee. Try not to overflex. So if you don't have a chair to sit on or a yoga block, you could bring the block underneath and kind of give yourself a little bit of support with your hands. I'm not really lifting myself up, but I just have my hands back for support. This allows me to keep a softer bend in the knee, which is just better. So I'm not overstretching because the hamstring is stretched in this position. I don't want a muscle overstretched or over contracted. So just being aware of that. Otherwise, we have a couple of minutes on this side and then we'll move on to glutes from there. And we'll get the front of the legs, quads, inner outer thigh, and that'll be our focus for tonight from knees to hips. We have sciatic stuff going on. We're going to kind of get into the piriformis, get into the inner outer thigh. A lot of knee, if you've got any type of pain in the knee, rolling all this area above, which we're doing tonight, very, very helpful. A lot of times I'll find when my knees start to hurt a little bit, I roll, it completely goes away. Always, always though, I'm going to give my little disclaimer, get things checked out. If in doubt, check it out. But a lot of times that's my go-to. If my knees start to get a little tight, a little sore, a little uncomfortable, I immediately will get some rolling in. See how that feels, how that helps out. This is coming in. Looks like Anna's coming in. Welcome, Anna. So we're just on our second hamstring. Anna, feel free to kind of jump in with us, or always in this class, you can roll any part of your body you like. Our focus again is kind of hips to knee region tonight. If you are kind of new, we just work through our body over about a 4-week period. So last week we did feet, calves, shins. Next week we'll move up into the back. And then our final week we get kind of chest, arms, neck. And then we start all over again. But you can always roll any part of your body you like. So you could be rolling back tonight, feet. And then always feel free to type in the chat box if you have any questions. I really don't mind if you unmute yourself either, but I am recording tonight. So if you do unmute yourself, you will be recorded tonight. But you can always type any questions in the chat. A little smash, about 1 more minute this leg. You can always spend a little extra time in any area. You don't have to move on. And so if your hamstrings are loving it, you can spend 10 minutes on each hamstring. I just pace this for the purposes of kind of getting through the body in a 4-week period. Nice. So feel free to continue with your hamstrings. If not, we'll go ahead and move into our glutes. So if you like setting up in a chair, you can absolutely stay there for your glutes. I tend to come to the floor. I just feel like I have a little bit more control. You can also come to the wall. So choose a glute. Maybe bring the ball, or you could have 2 balls in the bag together. That's going to be a little less intense. Foam roller. Just roll around on the balls. So we want to think about getting, what we really consider our glute, the gluteus maximus. and also come around the side, get into the gluteus minimus, medius, kind of get into your tensor fascia lata that runs around here. And then we'll connect that in when we get to the quad inner outer thigh also. You can do glutes on the wall. Glutes work really well on the wall. So you would just take the ball between you and the wall. You can do it on the wall. You do it sitting in a chair. I also like to lay down and do my glutes. So I feel like I'm being even more restful. We'll work around each glute for about 5 minutes. Remembering you can always stay a little bit longer. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Heather A. You find some areas that are a little, taught to you a little bit. Try to just stick with it. Maybe pin and hold. So the piriformis, it's kind of right mid glute. It's a deep muscle underneath kind of the gluteus maximus. Many of us are really tight there because it's always contracted if we're seated. The sciatic nerve runs kind of in and around there. So if we have a lot of tightness, it can agitate that sciatic nerve. So a lot of times you'll kind of right there in the center of the glute, find a tight area, and you just kind of stick with it. Maybe a little circular, maybe a pin and hold, just allowing a little release to happen. Think about shifting around on the ball rather than actually rolling also. Remember, you can floss the limb, or I like to come into this 4 position. So whichever glute the ball is under, I cross that knee up and over. So experiment, play around a little bit. If it doesn't, feel right, if something doesn't feel right, move on, ask a question. If something feels too intense, move below it, above it, to the side of it, right? Because the whole body's connected. So as we move into an area that maybe isn't quite as intense, they'll start to loosen up the more intense area also. I'm checking out everybody's screen to see whose Christmas tree I can see. I do see Kathleen's tree. I don't have one out here in my space. We do have one in the house. No ornaments on it. Not because of kids. I have teenagers, because of my puppy. Our huge puppy, our 7-month-old, like 50-pound puppy. So we were scared to put any ornaments on it. He has tried to eat and chew everything he can find. My mom had given me a plant like with a fairy garden in it. He's eaten half the fairies. Just like a kid. It's a baby proof. And he's so big. He's like way bigger than a baby. So we have a bare tree. It does have lights. I think we put like 3 ornaments on it up high, just so we would feel like there were ornaments on it. But I was giggling as Rochelle was posting hers, and Kinley was putting all the ornaments down low, and she was around and she used to put the ornaments up high. Like, yeah, I feel you again. Nice. I mean, we'll just kind of start to transition over to the other glute. When we are in the glute area, what we don't want to do, right? We don't want to roll right on the tailbone. So we're on the glute. We're not right in between the glutes. The tailbone is the coccyx, right? It's not a huge bone. It can be easily bruised. So stick over in the glute area. You can roll a little bit up, and we talk about this usually a little more when we get into the back next week. But right up here on the back of your pelvis, it's a little bonier there. You can roll over that area, but again, just be careful because it is, bonier. So usually if I'm gonna roll my that area, not my coccyx, but my pelvis area, the back of my pelvis, I'm gonna hold some of my weight up. So I'm rolling lightly, or I'm gonna go to a wall because I don't wanna just press right down. You know, it's not a bone you're probably gonna break. It is a big thick bone, but you're more likely to bruise yourself right, you know, on the bonier areas. The areas we don't wanna roll are the tailbone, the coccyx. We're not working it tonight, but we don't really want to roll directly on the spine. That's why I like the balls as opposed to, say, a foam roller on the spine, because you can put, you know, the space in between, or you can use just one ball. We don't really want to roll right on the sternum area. Again, it's a very bony area. We don't want to like really push force into the throat area. So that's when we, you know, use our hands or use the balls in our hands when we get to that area. But tonight, kind of the only place we're getting into to be really careful is the coccyx, tailbone. So again, as you find some areas of tightness and tension, hang out in that area a little longer. Welcome, Anne-Marie. You do have some travel holiday plans, flying in a car, you know, where you're going to be seated, cramped up for several hours. Pack the balls if you can. It will feel so good to roll afterwards. I just always laugh a little bit when I travel in Texas. I think it was Bridget, trainer Bridget, telling me to double check that like she lives within like 20 or 30 minutes of 5 different states. Right? She can go to all these different states. I'm like, yeah, no, everything in Texas. And it seems like everything, schools, a lot of school sports, like all cheer competitions are all up in Dallas. So it takes a long time to get out of the state of Texas. There was a school from Louisiana there. I'm not real sure why they came all the way. All the way. They were the only school there from Louisiana. Well, that was a long drive. But they do have the big high school. So if you do have any cheerleaders in your family friend group, we do have the big like nation NCAA school and comp cheer competitions are in Dallas. Those are always a lot of fun. People come in from all different states. So if you are involved in something like that, tell me. I'll look you up. A little VFit party. I don't know if any of you have cheerleaders or not. Another minute maybe here, and then we'll move into the front, inner, outer thighs. You can always stick with the glutes. You don't have to move on. If I were doing this on my own, my glutes are really tight tonight, I would probably spend 10 minutes on each glute. So listen to your body. If your glutes feel really tight, take the time. Spend a little longer there. All right, so feel free to stay where you are, or we will start transitioning to kind of the front, inner, outer thighs. So again, stick rollers work well. Anything on the legs. Hard to do a stick roller on the glute unless you sit on the stick roller. So you can kind of sit on the stick roller on your glute, but it does work really well for the thighs. So I just like to show you some different options. I like to use my elbows, right? For my, especially my inner thigh. I want to get into my inner thigh with my elbow. So elbows, you use your hands. Right? Especially if you're really tight, if you're sore and tight, you know, just take your hands. You're just trying to move stuff around. We can use the balls like a rolling pin. 1 or 2. Or of course, we can use the balls like a foam roller. Putting both balls in the bag and bringing the ball under the thigh. It doesn't really matter which leg you're doing, we'll do both. Okay, then we'll rock around a little bit. So we'll come a little bit to the outer thigh, and then a little bit to the inner thigh. And you can change up. Maybe you roll for a little bit, then maybe you stick roll, maybe you use your elbow. Just try out some different things, see what feels best to you. Just like any of the other areas, you find an area that feels like it needs a little more attention, just stay right there. A little more time there. So we're rolling, a big area, right? We're rolling our quad, our inner and outer thigh. So we've got 5 minutes on each. You could easily spend 10. If your thighs are really sore, I would say you could even spend, 15 because we're rolling such a large area of our thigh. But 5 will do. 5 will get some loosening happening. So that's why I just use that as my judgment in here. 10 minutes, up to about 10 minutes for most areas, kind of max. And then move on, right? Because we're trying to encourage blood supply to come in. We actually want to bring a little bit of inflammation in because inflammation is healing, right? But then we want to back off and let that inflammation subside. So what happens if we just stick with an area where like, oh, my quad is sore, I'm going to roll here for an hour, right? Then we're not really letting the inflammation do its job. We're encouraging the blood supply and stuff to come in, but then we're just over agitating. So I like to think of it just like food, right? Moderation. Everything in moderation. You can do it again tomorrow. You are able to join yin next. We'll really focus on stretching. Hamstrings, quads, inner outer thighs, glutes. Which I think tends to be, most people are like, this is like the favorite night. This in the back. Many areas we all tend to be really tight in. Although I say that and then I'm like, no, I really like rolling my feet and my calves. Is everything, all of it. We need all of it. We need a 2-hour rolling class every week, right? Just get the whole body every week. Fabulous. Into the inner thigh or the outer thigh. Well, welcome, Valerie. I know you've been there a while, but I don't think I gave you a welcome. Welcome. I remember seeing you come in, and I spaced. Another minute on this leg, and then we'll switch to the other leg. Remember, you do have the 5 minutes between the 2 classes too. If you're doing both classes, you can just roll right through the break. Not doing both classes, you can always continue to roll as long as you like. Try maybe setting a time, a regular time. Every day would be fabulous, but that can be hard, but maybe a few days a week. Like, I'm gonna roll. I don't know if you like there's a TV show you like to watch. Put the balls where you're gonna be, where the TV is. I'm gonna roll while I watch the show. I've been trying, I think I told you, I've been trying to just get up because I'm fortunate I can sleep a little bit later because I've got teenagers and their school starts a little later. But so I've been trying to get up like 15 minutes earlier and rolling in the mornings. And my son tends to do that too, my 15-year-old son. So if you've got teenagers, especially athletes, super good for them to roll also. So make a little family time out of it. And if you haven't switched, we'll go ahead and switch over to the other leg. Same options, stick roller, elbows, foam roller, massage balls, whatever you have. These do make great little Christmas presents. So if you have been using tennis balls or lacrosse balls, you want the role model balls by Jill Miller. They do have them on Amazon. They do make a little bit of a difference. They're super awesome. She did her homework in researching and putting this specific material together. So I think the blue ones are about $20, and the bigger gray ones, I think on Amazon, give or take, because they change the prices from time to time. They used to always be about 15, but I think now they're a little bit more, somewhere between maybe around 18. And then the bigger ones, I think, are around 35. You can also buy the bigger ones single. You don't have to buy it in a pack. I'm like, for the few extra bucks, I'd rather just buy the double. And then there is a smaller, she has a smaller ball that can come in handy for like feet or hands. But especially between the blue ones and the gray ones, you can really get a massage through all of your body. There are other brands out there. I'm partial. I did my training with her, but I really do personally like her brand the best. I don't make any money telling you about them. I can sell them, and I do to local people, and then I make a few bucks, but I don't make any money by telling you to go to Amazon and buy them. So I really do like them. They really are my favorite. Truthfully, I don't make much if I sell them in person either. I just really like them. So I tell people, buy these balls. They're really good. I should call Jill Miller. I'm like, hey, you owe me some commission. Sold a lot of these balls. I don't know enough people to be an influencer, as my kids would say. I don't have enough social media followers to be thought of as an influencer. My daughter's always telling me about how many followers so-and-so has. I'm like, yeah, I'm nowhere near that. All right, so we officially have just about a minute to go. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hope you can come to yin next. And we'll focus on stretching the areas we rolled. If you have been following along on Mondays, we're going to be on the throat chakra this week. We have three Mondays left in the year. Oh my goodness, 3 chakras left. I have been recording all those as well. So if you're like, oh, I've missed them, now I'll jump in on the throat chakra, I'll be lost. No, you can still come. Even if you don't watch the old recordings either, it'll be totally fine. It's still an awesome yin practice. We just bring a little awareness into the throat chakra. And do be on the lookout. I think some announcements are coming this week. Some new stuff we're rolling out in the new year. Remember, everything's optional. Don't feel like you're forced to do anything, but do be on the lookout. It's always fun. Always got new stuff we're bringing to you. All right, my friends, we are officially out of time. Again, feel free, continue to roll. You're coming back for yin. I'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Have a great one if you're headed headed off and out for the evening. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.